Denia has been revealed. Let's talk about her. My name is Juice, and let's get into it. Alright, so Denia has been revealed, and now we have her drip marketing. I think the character looks pretty decent. I think it's pretty obvious that this is supposed to be some kind of evil character. You can see that there's some kind of evil face in the background of her drip marketing, and there's those ominous red pupilled eyes staring at her. So there's definitely something sinister going on here. I'll say the vibe and aesthetic of this art is very unique. I don't think we've ever gotten any drip marketing like this before, and all around, I think it looks pretty decent. She seems to be wielding some kind of large staff with a bubble in the middle, so I'm going to assume that she's going to fight with that, which means I'm probably guessing that she's going to be a rectifier user. I mean, maybe she's pistols or something like that, which you might think has absolutely no correlation to a staff whatsoever, but I'm mostly getting that from Shakona, and also Phoebe. That's where I'm thinking pistols rectifier from. I don't really think she's gonna be a sword user. Maybe she could be. Maybe the staff is some kind of sword. I just don't think so. I think it is very obviously some kind of staff. And then Broadblade, I just can't see it. Maybe it would not be correct of me to completely rule out any options. If you looked at Jinchi's design, you would not think she is a Broadblade user at first glance either. But I'm personally gonna place my bets on either Rectifier or Pistols. We're gonna get the confirmation soon enough anyway, considering that Kuro Games usually reveals their attributes not too long after their drip marketing, and now that all of the drip marketing for 3.3 has been revealed, I think we can probably expect to get those soon, so that's gonna be a nice discussion for another day. As for her attribute, well, obviously we don't really have anything to go off of as of now. With Hiyuki, it is pretty obvious what I think she should be. She should obviously be a Glacio, but whether Kuro is going to make her a Glacio or not, heaven knows. I just pray that they will. With Denia, there's nothing in particular that I really get from her splash vibes-wise in terms of what attributes she should be given. What I do know is that the Fusion Burst set is still unused in-game right now, and Imuth is still in need of her Fusion Burst teammate. So maybe she's going to end up being one of the many fusion characters this game has to offer. Maybe from the ominous vibes that this provides, she could also end up being a Havoc user, considering that Havoc wielders end up being pretty freaky. So who knows, I'm probably guessing one of those two. And then maybe Electro, but that's just kind of a vibes-based guess. I don't really have any sort of basis for that. I just think, oh, this character could probably be Electro, maybe. Though I think the higher likelihood is probably Fusion or Havoc, one of those two. Interesting looking character all around. Definitely a lot of elements to your splash that leave you guessing, leave you thinking. As for whether I'm gonna get her, I think I'd be happy enough to skip her. It's just gonna completely depend on what she ends up doing. Hiyuki is the real showstopper for me in 3.3. I'm probably just gonna be throwing all my astrides her way. So if I have anything left over for Denia, then maybe. Though it's gonna completely depend on just what she ends up doing. How good is she going to be for my particular account, that sort of thing. And also if I even have any astrides left over after Hiyuki, but all around, she does look solid. Now, when Kuro reveals this character's attributes, if she is revealed to be Fusion, then I am going to be pretty convinced that she's going to fill the gap that is the I'm a Fusion Burst team, because currently that team does have a gap in it and does need a good second slot teammate in order to get it hitting the ground running. If she does end up doing that, I think she'll end up being pretty skippable just by virtue of the fact that IMF has another team that you can play, that being Toon Break. But if she ends up doing something completely different, I'm not particularly sure what she's going to end up covering. There's still plenty of negative statuses that we haven't covered yet, though I think that while Fusion Burst is still open-ended, they're probably going to want to finish that one up first before moving on to the next one. But we do still have more negative statuses that we haven't gotten yet, so that's something to be aware of. And while we do already have 2 Toon Break DPSs, I don't see why they couldn't make more, but interact with the mechanic in new and unique ways. So there's options. There are definitely ways that they can make this character interesting. And of course, as Sigrika's recent release has shown us, they're not done with old archetypes yet. So they could revive some kind of old archetype with her as well. And of course, I say that the main meta gap right now is Ima's Fusion Burst team, but there's other meta gaps that exist too. It's just that I don't really think they're of main importance to Kuro Games right now. For example, Jinchi still doesn't really have a perfect, ideal second slot teammate yet. Jojo was excellent for her on release, though nowadays, her getting an upscale would be nice, that sort of thing. Though I think that if that happens, it's probably going to be by coincidence or something that happens passively, as opposed to something that Kuro Games would go out of their way to actively do. So I think they're probably going to focus on a more recent meta in that case. I am curious as to what her animations are going to end up being, because there's just so many different elements here, and she seems to have some kind of bubble staff. And there's like a cake below her, and she has this whole motif going on with the cut out paper people, She's got it on her headband, she's got it on the cake, and it just kind of seems to be a general running theme with this character. The whole people joining their hands together. So I'm starting to think that's a very deliberate decision, especially because they repeated it on the cake, and that definitely has something to do with the character. Another thing that's worth noting is that she's releasing during the anniversary, or at least in the anniversary patch. Because she was the second drip market after Hiyuki, I believe she's probably going to be on the second half of the patch. But either way, she is going to fall on the anniversary patch, so that also has me pretty interested. I do think most of the spotlight is probably going to go on Hiyuki, but even so, I have seen a lot of love for Denia. She is a pretty popular character. She seems to have captured the hearts of many already, which is nice to see. So even though she's probably going to be the more sidelined one, there's still definitely interest in her. And it makes me curious as to how they're going to handle her, considering that she is going to be in the anniversary patch, though like I said, I think Hiyuki is probably going to be treated as more of the anniversary push as opposed to Denia. But either way, we'll see what contribution she ends up having. I'll also say that since both of the characters have been officially revealed for 3.3, perhaps we can expect some more information soon on them. Obviously, the attribute reveals are going to come out soon because, well, they always do that, like a day or two after the drip markets come out, so looking forward to that. Please, Kuro, go for the obvious options this time. It would be so peak if Hiyuki was an actual Glacio character, I am begging. But what else I'm also wondering is that, because we're coming up on the Wuthering Waves anniversary, is Kuro Games gonna hit us with a nice, friendly little early animations reveal? That would be very, very nice, Kuro Games. Do it. I know you want to. I know you want to. Please show me what those animations are for these characters. I really want to see. I think that everyone has their eyes on what these anniversary characters are going to do. Both of them have a decent fan base, and I think both of them definitely have people that have their eyes peeled for any sort of news on them. So I'm really hoping that because it's the anniversary patch, we end up getting more content about them soon. As it currently stands, we just have the drip markets to work with, and I'm sure we're going to get more news in due time, which I am very, very much excited for, and I'm sure that once we get that news, I'm going to go absolutely insane when we get literally any new crumbs on Hiyuki, because I'm really waiting for her. Denia, we'll see if she ends up getting any reveals. Kuro did once reveal both Augusta and Yuno in one go back in 2.6, or, well, not in 2.6, but before 2.6, so they did show us those character animations early, both of them, so there's a non-zero chance that maybe if they do show Hiyuki early, they might show Denia early as well. I'm not particularly sure, but we'll just have to wait and see. I haven't done the 3.2 story yet. I'm aware that Denia appears in it, so perhaps I'll have more of an opinion on her after I've done that. As it currently stands, I think this is a character with a decent design. I don't really have any strong opinions on her. If you watched my last video, you'll know that I'm, like, all over Hiyuki. I think Hiyuki's amazing. This character, I think, is, like, decent. Her aesthetic is not something that necessarily appeals to me inherently, but I think there is something interesting here, and they could definitely make me care about this character more if they do something interesting with her. As it currently stands, I think she looks decent, and I'm not really, like, all over her in any particular way. I just think, okay, yeah, this looks pretty decent. Well, we'll see where they go from here. It's a great character design, though, and I think it very much does fit with overall how good the 3.x wuwa character designs have been. I personally think that 3.x has been the absolute best for Wuthering Waves' character designs. That's obviously my personal opinion, but I just think that all of the Lahai characters have looked absolutely fantastic. Like, at the very least, they look good, and at the very best, they are absolute peak. Luke looks amazing, dude, and Hiyuki looks incredible. So I do think they've really stepped it up with their designs. Denia is another great design from 3.x. Just the aesthetic is not particularly something I care about. I think that's the best way to put it. But I think for fans of this type of character, she looks absolutely great. And also, I really like her hair. The drills look really nice, and I'm a big fan of the color scheme and everything. So it's definitely not a bad character whatsoever. Another pink-haired character for pink enjoyers to add to their collection. The nice little blue accents on the end are also really cool. And I think as of now, this character just kind of sits in animation limbo for me. It's gonna entirely depend on what her animations and kit end up being. That's probably gonna determine whether I'm interested in getting her or not. Hiyuki is non-negotiable. I need that character. I have a guarantee for her and everything. Denia, we'll see. I think I'm just kind of like, I've got my eye on you. I'm interested in you. But you've got to show me what you've got first. Because as it currently stands, I have interest, but I'm not crazy. I do think the idea of her, like, secretly being evil, it's very clear to me that she's going to be some kind of evil person, right? I think her being secretly evil could be interesting, especially because I find that when wuwa makes an evil character, they actually commit to them being evil, like with Frolova. That was really refreshing, because Frolova was, like, actually evil and didn't decide to become buddy-buddy with us by the end of that quest. So if Denia ends up being some kind of evil person and they commit to that, that's cool, because I actually do trust Wuthering Waves to stick to an evil person being evil, or at least a sinister person being sinister, because usually whenever a character is morally gray or not a great person, they are usually not afraid to stick to them being morally gray or not a great person. So we'll see how they handle her. She could definitely be interesting, but as it stands, I think she looks good, but I have to wait and see. Hopefully this video is able to tell you a little bit about my thoughts on Denia. This has been Juice, signing out, and I'll see you all when she's actually revealed to be an arrow broadblade or something.